morning again. Back with second round of horses and hoping that Pixio battery lasts for all of this. We've got a couple of mares today on the schedule, and this is Cherrim. She is owned by Ashley, who is up in Baltimore right now. So we're definitely praying for her safety through all of this. Cherrim is a Dutch mare, large mare, as you can tell. Working on second level, third level type movements. She does have a tendency towards an attitude. So we'll see if she shows any of that today. And then you can see what I do to kind of work my way through it. With the big ones like this, you don't really want to get into a fight with them. I will lose very easily. So I try to just kind of convince her of the work being really nice and fun for her to do. Now, she's a little bit long-backed, a little bit flat-croup. She's also very large through her legs, and her legs are not long. I mean, they're massive. So athleticism is not her strong suit. However, she looks fantastic when she starts going. You'll see all the potential, all the good bones are there. It's just you have to kind of convince a horse of this build that what you're asking them to do is actually doable for them. It's easy for her to do. And given the fact that she's also a mare, kind of puts another little spin on things. So we'll see. She's having a little bit of allergy issues past couple of weeks. Everything's been coming into bloom in Alabama. I am getting smacked in the face right now with honeysuckle, and so if you hear her coughing and sneezing, that is why. So she is out to pasture 24/7, so I don't usually spend a whole lot of time walking on her, just because she's out and about, roaming around, able to do what she needs to do. So I just kind of feel where she's at in the walk, and then we move on to our typical warm-up, which she will be able to show you my go-to warm-up. She's always wary of the F corner for some reason. These trees always give her a little bit of a fright. So anyway, we'll go get started. A little bit big and bad this morning. So I try to hold the tempo through my torso. Good girl. The faster I can get to bending lines and really work towards some things that help with suppleness and submission, the better on this mare. She likes to look for things, and she's also the alpha in her field. So she kind of is set up to be a little bit bossy when you're in the tack. Which I try not to worry about too much. I try to just kind of concentrate on what I would like to do with her. But all of those things are good things to pay attention to. So if you're home away from your horse right now, maybe text the barn manager or the feeder, anybody that would know where your horse falls in the pecking order in their herd if they live out with other horses, because that gives you massive insight to how you should go about training your horse. So, pretty typical warm-up for her. We go through a few things, get her thinking forward, and then we go on to some work. So, I like to start off with the canter work with her because she is so large. She runs out of gas in her tank pretty quickly because it's a lot of body for her to move around. So I kind of take that into consideration. When she gets tired is also when she will start to have some submission issues. So because we're in spring season and things are heating up and she's still shedding out and all this stuff, she tends to get a little hot, a little tired, a little quicker than she will in, a few weeks' time once she's completely shed out. So I take all of that into consideration, and I try to help her as best I can. So she kind of likes to be big and bad and bossy. I know this about her. So my job is to forget about that. Every time I get on her, I've got to forget who she tries to be with me. And I have to try and present her with, no baggage type work. Well, that doesn't mean that I don't, really think about how we're doing things. But it does mean that I've got to be the bigger person, especially down here where she wants to get big. And I've got to kind of be the one that says, hey, let's do it this way. Not bad for her. Dribble steps are just kind kind of the way that it goes for her at this point. We've got to work towards a little bit more collection before those go away. Whoopsies, completely. Nope. Good. So she took the counter canner. Who cares? We love counter canner. All of my students know that line super well. So now I gotta be careful. I give her a place to go. She wanted to take the counter canner. I said, no worries, you can take it. Be stingy with contact. Easy to get handsy with an alpha horse. Okay, now I'm going to make sure. Good girl. Make sure that I am setting myself up for these new leads. Yep. Okay. Good girl. I'm going to go on to a little counter canter loop. I'm going to keep myself in right canter. Good. Yeah. Again, she gets very distracted down here. I'm not going to get into a fight about it. I'm just going to reestablish. Good. Good. So you want to keep yourself on your counter canter lead in the counter canter loops. I'm going to sit with my right hip forward, left hip back. I'm going to keep a little bit of flexion towards the lead. That was better. Good. Go across the diagonal. Short. Walk transition. Good. Keep walking. You want to make sure that you give them room, even if you've got to keep them in connection with elastic elbows. Make the corrections as necessary, but be fair. Especially with mares, you've got to be fair. Too much. She's just trying to kind of bully me a little bit, so I'm gonna make sure I make my point whenever I need to. Getting in control. Good. That's better. Down, put a little bit of leg on. There you go. Good. Good. So it's a lot of horse to move around, especially when she's being looky. But here's the deal. They're all allowed weird days. Just like we are. So we'll go into some trot work. It's built in a day. And if I keep hammering on her in the interim, it's not going to help. So we'll do some lateral work in the trot. Yeah, I know. Now, you'll have to forgive me if I get really quiet. She's not exactly the easiest one to sit the trot and talk. She's got really short pasterns, so all of the shock absorption has to happen in my body, and it's a lot. Good girl. So, set yourself up for shoulder in. To the right. Do a 10-meter circle in the corner. And take one step back onto that circle. And then go straight. And stay with that one step. Good. Now, 10-meter circle. Same thing with haunches in. Except haunches in needs more angle because the 4-track movement. So right here. Haunches in is not her strong suit, so sometimes I turn it into a leg yield on the rail, get more haunches, and then finish. I like to always start my lateral work with a halt in the next corner in mind, so that they don't get running through your aids. So we're going to do that again. Don't be afraid to be effective, as long as you're fair. I think that's the lesson that a lot of mares would love for people to realize. So again, 3 tracks. Good. Good girl. Straight in. 10-meter circle. Falling in on the circle. A little bit inside leg. And punches in. Now, the bend goes away, or she's trying to take it away. Turn it into a leg yield. This is actually pretty decent for her. Straight in and halt. Okay, good. Now, it's easy to get really focused on the lateral work, meaning like you don't necessarily reward the horse for trying to get into the body position that you're wanting to. Now, what did I talk about at the beginning of the video? Long-backed, flat-crouped, haunches in is not going to be the easiest of movements for her. Any horse that's built like this. So I've got to be understanding, and I need to help her out a little bit. Helping her out with like a leg yield on the rail kind of thing can be really beneficial to her because it teaches her to keep her haunches flexible. And that's really the first thing that she needs to kind of think about when she's doing haunches. So, shoulder in, one step, and oh. So leg yield back to the rail. There. Who cares? Mistakes happen. 10-meter circle. Thinking haunches in. My shoulder in kind of botched. So haunches in. And turn it into a leg yield. There we go. Turn it into there. More of a leg yield. Good. Straighten and whoa. Good girl. Okay, now we're going to do a 10-meter circle in her scary corner. Just because your horse has an area of the arena that they don't like for whatever reason, don't avoid it. you got to be the bigger person in the situation and say, look, we're doing this. There we go. Good. Good. Straighten. Oh, not running away. Good girl. And wait. Haunches in. Now she fell in on that side of the circle. Not going to help me with the haunches in. We turn it into a little bit of a leg yield. Good. That was good for her. And whoa. Good. So again, be flexible. Just because a true haunches in doesn't happen at home doesn't mean that you're not going to be able to eventually do it. Do something that makes sense to your horse, that helps you get in the direction you're wanting to go. So she's having trouble with the haunches in for whatever reason. Even though she knows how to do it, maybe today she's a little bit stiffer, which she is. And because of her conformational issues, it's not as easy to actually do the full haunches in. Okay, so we take that information along with the fact that she likes to be alpha in all situations, and we say, you know what, we're going to make it an easy exercise. We're going to put a little spin of submission onto it with the leg yielding and the counterflexion, and we're going to get those haunches to move a little bit more. As soon as the haunches can move, then I can change the bend and turn it into more true of a haunches in. So again, don't panic if it's wrong. It's not really wrong. I mean, these horses didn't choose to be dressage horses or eventers or anything like that. So we have to take responsibility for becoming good teachers. And I know a lot of parents out there right now with doing quarantine schooling. I know a lot of people are starting to learn how to be a good teacher and recognize that not all students learn the same. So, know the type of horse that you're riding and gauge your training according to that. Be flexible with how you approach the lateral work especially, and know like when your horse might be getting tired, know when to stop. This is Wifi. She is owned by Elizabeth. And she's an Oldenburg thoroughbred cross, bred by Janice Simmons. Wifi has been in training with me for a while. And when Elizabeth is home from school, she gets rides on her. I had just handed her the reins before we decided that it would be the wise thing to close the barn. She had been home for her spring break. No, that's rude. And had ridden for a couple of weeks' time, and then her school told students not to come back. She goes to school in Virginia, so they told them not to come back after spring break was over. So we were like, oh, okay, cool. We'll let you ride and I'll teach, and that'll be a good time. And then all of this kind of went south on us. But E does a really good job with Wi-Fi. But one thing that I've been working with her on is kind of quieting her seat a little bit. She's used to riding horses at school. She goes to Sweetbriar, and it's a little bit of a different ride than what Wi-Fi is. Wi-Fi is a hot little number, very sensitive to how you sit on her. And, it's a little bit more perceptive probably than a lot of your typical school horses. But that being said, that's partly because, E started her under my supervision, and so all she's known is either an aid is on and it means something, or it's just not there. You're not putting an aid on. So, to her credit, she's very perceptive about that. So, big things that Wi-Fi needs to work on is transitions and being able to really be softer into and out of gates. Now, when I ride, I'm very particular with her about that. And I've been getting Elizabeth to be a lot more particular since she's been home. So hopefully we can keep going along that same lines with her. She just tries to like I said, she's hot, very perceptive, like she wants to spook at the mounting block right now. And she'll want to spook at the pergola where the camera is under. She'll want to spook at that. But she's a very interesting sort. So she's very looky, and she's like this with jumping too. She's very looky, but she's looky in a brave way, if there is such a thing. So I don't like that. So I am going to be super duper particular with her today. That was better. Good. As I go through my warm-up. The other thing that's different is that I'm riding her in one of my saddles so that I can put it online because I'm sponsored by Custom. So it's a little bit of a different feeling in her back that she's feeling right now. So she must be a little bit more reactive to that. So you've got a horse that's kind of all over the place when they start. I don't know why both mares have a little bit of an issue down here today. When they're all over the place, pick your line. Stay on the line. Don't let their fractiousness pick what line they do and do not make. So she's wanting to kind of fight against my inside leg. Again, it's not about how I use my hands. It's all about how she comes off of the leg. So I'm going to do that serpentine again. Right there. Stay on the line. The line is sacred, as as David O'Connor used to tell me. So we're going to do the serpentine again. Everything else is secondary. There we go. Right here, she really wants to push onto my left leg. There we go. Good. She's dealing with allergies too. I can kind of hear her breathing a little bit more than I would like. So we're going to try and keep it short. The other thing is, don't overpost on horses like this. I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to come into the circle at E and B. I've been having a conversation with Elizabeth about this, so I want to show her what I'm talking about. Okay, so other than directional issues, the line, lady, thank you. So, establish the line, and this is me posting, being deliberate about how I'm posting. Okay, this is me allowing her body to dictate how I'm posting. See how the trot grows, and then she wants to canter out of it. Okay, so going back to, this is me posting. I'm barely coming out of the tack is what I'm thinking about. Okay? Don't be a victim of your horse's movement. She can't handle it. Again, I'm going to just let my body go, let her carry me. Look at how much the trot grows. Now, eventually, when I let go, this is where lengthenings and mediums will come from, but that's not what we need. So, I'm going to close back up. I'm going to post. Good. Okay, so we're going to go into the canter. Her least favorite transition. So I'm going to really make sure she's into my outside eights. Good. So she hollows out in the canter. I need my inside leg. There. Good. Good. Closing the thighs to the trot. And I'm posting. Not her body. Oh. There we go. Getting a cough. It's all right. She has a little bit harder time than most with allergies around here. So I'm going to let her have a minute. And we'll actually change directions so that I don't get greedy. If you have a horse that is down here right now and things are blooming, I know I feel like I'm kind of getting hit in the face with a bunch of different smells of things blooming. So if you have a horse that's sensitive to that kind of stuff down here right now, be patient with them. Let them put their head down and walk, kind of clear out their sinuses if they need to. Oh, a little bug. Just be very understanding. It's not a time to kind of push them through coughing, especially if it's going to cause them a little bit of an issue. We haven't had enough rain, and our arena is pretty dusty right now as a result of that, so that has a little bit to do with it. Anyway, with her in the transitions, she wants to kind of lean on my inside leg into and out of the canter. I've got to push her to, it's been there, sweetie. I've got to push her to the outside aids, meaning I've got to kind of open up my outside hip and draw her out to the outside of the circle so that she can stand up and make the quality transition. She's sounding better to me now, so I'm going to shorten the reins and we're going to go back to work for a little bit. So even in the walk to trot, I'm going to make sure that she's in my outside rein. That wasn't it. So when they kind of know what's happening, it can work for you or it can work against you. So I'm going to take a smidge of flexion and just kind of say, I'm putting you over there, okay? And I'm going to draw her out with my hip. Sometimes I'll even take my outside leg away. I'll show you on this side of the circle so that you can see. If I want to draw a horse out that's really sensitive with their back, did you see that? I just kind of lifted my leg away from her and opened up, and that was an actual good try to go into the trot because she was so into the outside aids. Don't get fixated on the outside rein being the end all be all. Outside aids. It's your outside hip, it's your outside shoulder. It's more that than the outside rein. If you focus on the outside rein too much, you're going to get restriction happening. So that was better. Again, I am posting. I'm keeping it together. I'm not allowing her movement to dictate how I rise and fall. I don't think I need to show that again, but if anybody needs clarification, I'm more than willing to chat about it if you want to. So into the canter, same thing. I got to draw her to those outside aids. I'm going to open my outside hip, little bit of counterflexion. I'm going to keep posting into the canter work so that I make her back as open as possible. Inside leg, drawing her out. Good. And back to trot, drawing her out, opening my outside leg. Good. I kind of hear her breathing again. I think there's a cough coming, so I'm going to walk. I'm going to let her have it. So that wasn't a terrible transition, and because she's having a little bit of a allergy day, I'm not going to push it with her. It's just the same thing if you're talking conformational issues, if you're talking breathing issues. You got to remember, a horse can only offer you what they feel good doing. So, and that's when the picture starts to look really, really nice and beautiful, is when the horse is just like, yep, I know what I'm doing, and so I'm going to offer this to you. So today, to push her when she's having a little bit, of a cough, I can kind of hear, I don't think you guys can through my mic, but I can kind of hear at times there just being a little bit of fluid in there that she's dealing with. I know that it's just an allergy cough because she gets it the same time every year, so don't string up for riding her. But I think it's important to still keep her working, kind of loosen things up, maybe help her kind of get that out of her system. Anyway, with the transitions, with a horse that's sensitive backed, it's not so much, that you keep pushing with that inside leg. You've got to keep the inside leg on, absolutely. But, let's see if I can do this for you. But it's also, you can see, so if I treat my right leg here as my inside leg, I've got that on. But it's also about like opening this side of my body. So if I'm rising and falling, like posting wise, I'm going to think about pushing my hip out like that so that I can draw her to the outside aids. Again, don't get fixated on the outside rein being the only outside aid that you have. Think more about your hip and allowing with your outside leg for them to kind of come to you and stand up. Because if you get fixated on just a rein aid being your outside aid, it's going to get too restrictive and the horse is just going to roll over and stay like nose into chest kind of a thing. You can probably see her huffing a little bit here. So I'm going to call that a day for her, and hopefully she'll get over her little bit of bout with the allergies here in the next couple weeks, and we can show you some more stuff. So everybody, stay healthy, stay safe, stay 6 feet apart, and we'll see you next time.